Recruitment's now obviously done mostly, if not completely online, as we said, but the processes have changed. Have they changed in other ways post-COVID? I mean, you mentioned it's become more rigorously problematic or bureaucratic. Is that a consequence of COVID, or is it an actual evolution towards more bureaucracy in international school recruitment?
I think it's a natural evolution. As we're becoming more and more proficient with technology, there are companies that are creating excellent recruitment tools that we didn't have in education. We were very much, particularly in the UK, a teacher comes in, they do a lesson or an assembly and have an interview in the staff room or in the office. But things have become much more sophisticated. We'll talk you through some of the things that we think have moved on.
So one of the things we've moved into doing at Kellett is to use a platform that allows us to do the initial screening of candidates anonymised. So we set a series of tasks, questions that people need to answer, written tasks, and they are by the platform anonymised. Those answers are then marked and scored. And then put into a rank order, and only after we've done that process do we actually sort of look at the actual CVs and look at people's sort of careers. I mean, we can put in some initial sort of qualification screening. You know, I mean, are you qualified to teach in Hong Kong? Type questions. You know, to cut down the amount of marking. But the advantage is it's actually taken away the unconscious biases that we all have, you know, when you look at a CV and, you know, you say, well, that person, you know, taught in the right schools or has done the right roles and therefore they'll be great here. And you can get really blinded by that. And, you know, we've used the process and it's been very, very interesting. We committed ourselves to interviewing at least the first 3 on the scoring. And they often weren't people that we would have pulled out otherwise. And so I think that's been a really interesting, you know, sort of innovation for us in terms of setting those tasks. And I think we might have looked at it, in sort of non-COVID times, but I think it certainly prompted us to move at a more rigorous and open way of recruiting.
I mean, I have direct experience of that because, as you know, I'm going to be coming in as the head of Kellett Cowling Bay. So the tasks that I was set were anonymised, and they were then marked in with other people's. And obviously, with the situation with Mark being part of that school, that was great for me because I know, you know, that I was able to show that I could do the job on merit, and that's really quite important. So that's a really good initiative, I think, to take away, as Mark said, this unconscious bias around what schools you've worked in before or what universities you went to.
This was a platform that you came across or you devised?
No, it's been a spin-off from government. It's been trialled quite extensively in the UK in order to cut down bias in all sorts of industries. It's not just related to education, and it allows you to actually sort of set the questions along the way. You know, the company is called Be Applied, and the platform is Applied, and it's a very useful way of. I mean, at least as just as a simple exercise that highlight the unconscious bias within one's own team and and oneself. It's been a very, very useful training tool for
imagine this platform that's you're operating, which is intended and seems to be able to remove a large element of unconscious bias at the early stages of the interview process. If that follows through into the actual recruitment and contracting for individuals, then it could impact on the very character of international schools, because you end up with a different school employment structure or content, if you like. The different types of people would be coming in. It might become more diverse as a consequence.
That's exactly the intention of it. Is that that we don't just sit there and go, well, these people worked in this half a dozen peer schools to Kellett around the world, and we're just going to bounce the teachers around them.
That's right.
It's allowed us to actually have a wider pool of applicants being considered seriously for roles, and you haven't got what they call, in the sort of the theory behind all this, the halo effect of having been to top universities or worked in other top schools. You might not have had the chances in life that gave you that start, or in terms of your schooling, university career, or your first jobs, but actually you've developed really strong skills. And in fact, we've appointed the senior leader next year who, I'd be quite honest, I wouldn't have put on the shortlist on the basis of their university qualifications, but who came top on the way we did the questions and did the tasks, and then totally blew us away in an interview. So it has worked, and I think it's been a really valuable way of doing things. And that person wasn't Samantha, by the way.
Yeah. He wouldn't have given me that much praise, I can tell you.
That's really interesting. I'm intrigued by that system you've got in play there, and congratulations and well done on getting into play. Definitely.